you deliver. That's all I can say, is that you deliver. If someone asks me what's the best thing, is you deliver. The customer service, the process, the knowledge, it's all there. There's no blind spots.
Today's session, we have Rebecca in the house. Can I get a hell yes? What up? Rebecca, thanks for being here and appreciate you. And congrats on your 10K. Welcome to the 10K club. That being said, what was the major problem before you started with us? What was the major thing that was stopping you from growing your coaching consultancy business?
It's interesting that you asked that, because I believed it was a lack of knowledge around how to process things online and how to put myself out there properly on the online world. But as I've gone through your process, that wasn't true. The problem was I didn't actually know the people that I was supposed to help. I didn't know what their problem was. I knew what I could offer, but that was as far as it went. So actually, for me, it was understanding that these are the people that I help, this is the problem they have, and then using your process to put it into practice. And that was the biggest thing, actually.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. So like let me drill that one down. So understanding really how to sell a solution, rather, like you knew how to deliver the outcome, but what a lot of people do get stuck in is how do you structure content that sets up a sale, or how do you actually make the sale? And then, like, providing the outcome is a different process to setting that outcome up. And so yeah, that makes sense. What were there any big like hesitations that were stopping you from joining us? Anything that you were worried about?
Well, ironic, there was only one thing, and that was I didn't know. I hadn't heard of you. So it was, so it was that thing of, I looked you up and I was like, oh, he hasn't got a massive online presence. Like, is this, I'd already been ripped off before.
Ooh.
So, but the difference was that guy had a huge online presence and he didn't deliver. So it was like, you was the only one in the market offering what I wanted. And it was like, well, you either go for it or you don't, right? And I did go into it a bit like, well, if he doesn't deliver, I'm going to be asking for my money back. So I was prepared to kind of like, okay, like before I got on the call with Eric, I was already going to buy like that. My mind was made up. So it was just a matter of how much and how do I pay. And it was a great decision. So
size is everything. Size is everything.
Size is not everything.
Size is not everything, 100%. In many ways. But yeah, no. So look, this guy had a huge social proof, perceived social proof. Again, like I presume an Instagram following or
like it was the podcast. He's
okay.
Yeah, he's got like the #1 wellness podcast or something like that. And I'd followed him for years. And I was just confident that he would deliver. But the truth was, he was just great at motivational work. Like that's all he could provide in terms of getting more clients and dominating the online industry. He just didn't have it. And I knew that's what I needed, the process of that, which is what you offered.
Right, makes sense. So you felt that was let down based on you didn't have a proven process to get an actual paid client. Great at providing a motivational process, but you need systems and structure. Agreed.
Yeah, and the people that he used as proof to say, my process has worked with these guys, all those guys already had big businesses. They already had followings. It was easy to do. Whereas I didn't really have that, and I was changing niches. So I needed a lot of support and guidance. And again, like the group coaching process, there was about 50 of us on the call, and it was too big. I was like, you can't, it just didn't work. We didn't get the support in the group either. You might get a couple of days. He expected other people in the group to answer for you, people that they don't really know what they're doing. You're paying for his expertise, not theirs.
That's something, that makes sense. We hear that a lot. I mean, again, it is what it is. And I think, just because, like, unless you're following a proven process, in my view, if your business is less than $1 million and you don't have a sales process in place, most people in the online space will fail because they don't have a process by which they're collecting data, which is email addresses and phone numbers focused, that's primary data versus social media following, which is an asset. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not primary data, and it can be taken away from you at any stage. And I think unfortunately it just is what it is. The world think that if you have a large following, you must know what you're doing. There's this number one, I won't say anyone's names, it's not fair, but I won't even say what sex or anything, but it's quite difficult to say that without that, but has a huge number, and like just recently has got been exposed of that, and you can always see it, and it is what it is. But it's a shame, I think, and it's a shame because that creates more distrust in the environment, which means that people don't get their outcome. And anyway, so look, what have you found has been, look, talking about support, that's what we double down in. What have you found the most helpful in terms wise support for you specifically?
Yeah, it's exactly that. So I know whatever I ask will be answered. I don't ever feel awkward about asking anything, which I think is really important. And I trust you. I trust you. I trust the team. Like you've never not delivered. And that for me is where it's important. You could brush me off with, oh, just go back on the program and look at module 2. The answer's there. But you don't do that. Like you will go a bit deeper. And you get it, you get the process. And I think, like for me, as I've gone through, and I've been with you a while, but you see the underlying message of what's actually being asked. Like the problem isn't always that question, it goes deeper than that. And that's actually what I like that you bring out of people.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Because there is no stupid question, and that's the truth. But and we are always compounding on the client's automation methodology. So like a lot of people think they have to learn loads of things, whereas actually it's not, loads of learning, it's compounding and getting it till you get it. Was there anything specific out of the client's automation methodology that you like them the best? Maybe the closer process, maybe, I don't know, an ad format, or how we put your messaging together, or the offer codex, whatever.
Genuinely, I like 8 point. I can't really remember, because I just don't know if you remember, but when I started on 7.0, I was in it for like 6 weeks. Then my nan got ill and died. Then my best friend got ill and died. So I took a massive chunk out. So I couldn't get deep into that. I was not in a good place. And now I've started again with 8.0, and literally everything was firing. Like every module made perfect sense. As I was going through the module, like I could see things, and I was writing them down as I went. There was no blockages at all. So there's nothing I can I can't criticize it at all. I personally think it's the perfect program, if such a thing exists.
Best part of it, if you had to pick one?
The psychology, just because the way I learn, you can either give me a script and go learn this and I'll learn it, or you teach me the underneath. Like if you say you need to write with that pen, you need to give me a good reason why. Like I won't just do it because you say. I need to understand why, and you give me that. So it's like, as I'm going through, it wasn't, I think I put on the group, like the closer process. Before I was trying to learn the scripts. So then when I'm talking to people on the phone, I'm like, I don't know where I am because obviously it doesn't follow, does it? It's not straight line. But then once it was like, I get it. Like all I've got to do is find out what their problem is, ask the right questions in a certain way that they understand. And, the process is, it's understanding the process as opposed to what you've got to say. I think that's how I've interpreted it.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. It's frameworks that allow a new way of thinking to cultivate with a structure around that. Then you compound on that, and there you go. What do you think your biggest belief change has been from where you were to where you are now?
That I am a toxic relationship consultant. That is what I am. That is what I do. Nice. I believe it now. It's not like, oh, I just dabble in it. No, that's what I do.
It's because you've got paid clients at the level that you can see that it's a real thing, and it's growing to the level that you want.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd built my program before I joined you, and I'm now working, like I'm upgrading it, so I'm working on the second version.
Yeah, but that's where the fun's at.
Yeah, it is. I'm really enjoying it, and it's ironic, as I'm going through it with people, I'm amazed how much people don't know and how much I do know. And so then again, that reaffirms, it's like, okay, yeah, I do know what I'm doing. Yeah, I feel like now I'm a good player in the industry.
Nice. I mean like so important. So like, I think honestly, most people unfortunately give up in that space where they think it's that they don't realize that they are actually very good at what they do.
Mm.
They know a lot about what they do, but because they haven't got a client paying at the level that they want, that they connect that with, I'm obviously not good enough at what I do, and so therefore go down a journey of more courses, or more like retraining in person, in my view, the wrong thing,
Yeah.
because like it gets to a stage where you don't actually need to know any more about what you do, like that
Yeah.
refines on the go, and you keep on getting better at that. And coaching, as you know, you make distinctions all the time, but if you don't have someone there that you're coaching, you never get better at the process. And so it's such a shame. I think most people never get access to that, because we live in a world where, unfortunately, the majority will think, oh, okay, I need another certification. I need that will be the thing that does it for me. Or
Yeah.
whereas actually just get a process in place so you can get a client there, build on top of it,
Yeah.
is where it's at.
And
Okay.
like definitely for me, it's like what I've learned from your program is it's how you speak to your clients is very differently. Like the how-to thing. Don't give too much how-to away, yet the industry claims that's what we should be doing. But I agree with you, like that doesn't work, because you're giving everything, they think there's nothing left to buy. So it's how you speak to them to get them to trust you, to show your authority. Like that for me was another learning curve. So
if you hadn't have come through, what do you think, like off the back of like obviously investing into that dude being let down, what's the likelihood, what do you think your path would it have been harder, would it have taken longer, you'd have given up doing what you were doing?
yeah, absolutely, I would have, because it's something I'm at a point where I want to shift and I want to transition, and I'd lost my whole life, my whole business that I'd worked so hard for, that was thriving, gone within months. And it was like, okay, the world is going online. I was
Let me just
kind
one
of
second, let me just pause you just 1 second there. Let me put an interjection in there, because you were a traditional yoga based business, right? Is that's why you're saying that, due to COVID, and then you making a shift into the online space? Cool. So I was just putting that in there. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's right. So yeah, and it was like, okay, at that point, so just before COVID hit, I'd paid to have a mobile app bill. So I was already transitioning that way anyway. Then I was forced into it. So I knew that's where I wanted to go. I wanted a lifestyle shift. And it was like, okay, who's going to be able to teach me this industry? Because I was used to paying other people, like what you said, you can pay thousands for the app, for the programs, for the funnels. And I've had to do it myself, which has been really hard. But again, knowing you guys, you can just put it in the group, and that day, normally in under a couple of hours, you get an answer. And that's so valuable. But I think that's more valuable than, just having 2 calls with you a week, because you've always got the support.
The support is key, like having, and I know sometimes like what we see now more so than ever is a lot of people have paid agencies a lot of money, and an agency will just take your money and they will never work on that message. And there's foundations that we take you through, make you go through them, so you have like, it's not a lot. I know a lot of people think in today's online space to like to be able to put a funnel, to understand how to put some basic tagging, it's not a lot, but you have the foundations, which means you don't need to know how to code, but you have the foundations so that you can operate a funnel. And then as you start to scale, you can get other people to run those things for you. But having, like, what we've noticed, having control over the messaging as a business owner, if you try and hand that out to an agency, the whole thing falls down, because like people just like, ideally people just want to go, hey, I just want to be in front of my client and everyone else does everything. And you're like, yeah, great. But in order for you to get that, you have to go through some stuff first. And we've made it the most streamlined towards that, because that's exactly what I do. People want that. And so, we broke down, here's what you need to do, and here's the minimum you need to do to get that. What do you think the cost of not coming would have been? Giving up, in terms of, if you tried to kind of figure it out on your own, do you think you'd have even gone down that level?
I did. I spent a lot of time, and the last bit of money I had, I invested into trying to get people to help me. yeah, like the cost of inaction is just, you can't even put a price on it, because genuinely I don't know where I would be. And it's that same thing. It probably would be, okay, let's, like, there was a couple of other coaches that I looked at, I probably would have invested in them, I probably would have been in the same position. It's, you know,
What do you like about us specifically, knowing us now?
I like the fact that you deliver on everything that you sell. You know,
What a concept.
you deliver. That's all I can say, is that you deliver. If someone asks me what's the best thing, is you deliver. The customer service, the process, the knowledge, it's all there. There's no blind spots.
Yeah, that's interesting, because people always say that's one of the number one questions we get is it actually there?
Yeah.
Is it an automated version? It's funny. It makes me laugh at that. Okay, so Rebecca, what would you say to someone that was on the edge, that was about to join, that they are thinking about it? What would you tell them?
There's nothing to think about. Just pay the money and get on with it.
Get on with it. But it's true. I genuinely, if people got on with it and we got your back.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Stop procrastinating and just get on with it.
Rebecca, thank you so much. I appreciate you, because it doesn't work without people that are amazing like you. Thank you for sticking with us, and I appreciate you. That being said, let's give you a massive high five, and we're going to go and get your next step sorted now.
Okay.